For the good of the game, FPL, price these players high. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the premium assets in FPL next season, and we're going to be giving our price predictions on them as well. You guys can all play at home in the comments. Without further ado, let's start with the big one. The guy that broke all sorts of records, broke his own record last season, the best FPL player we've ever seen. Mo Salah has to come in at a super high price. Now, many are predicting 14 and a half. Make him 15 million and give us a decision to make. I really hope FPL do this. They ripped up the rulebook last season, didn't they? We didn't expect Erling Haaland to come in at 15, but they did it because he had a worldy season the year before. I think Mo Salah at 15 million makes so much sense. The team that scored the most goals, the best team, the talisman, all the pens he gets too. 15 million for Mo Salah gives us the decision to make, especially because there's going to be other Liverpool attackers. We'll speak about Wirtz later and Gakpo that will be so much cheaper that will still score lots of goals. I like Salah at 15 million. The big conversation is going to be pre-season. Can you go Salah or can you cover him with other Liverpool attackers? And will you go Salah and Erling Haaland? So Mo Salah, the question mark will be there. Price him at 14, he'll be a set and forget for everyone. Price him at 15, you've got a decision to make. And we should want a tricky game. Remember the points he got last year. Remember the points he's always got. He always hits around 200 or more. Last season, it was ridiculous numbers last season. Now, sure, many think they saw a little bit of a slump from Mo Salah last season. Did we see a slump from Mo Salah last season at the end of the year after the contract? Maybe. But the underlyings were still there. When we look at his end of season form, the last 6 game weeks, yes, he only got 2 goals in those 6 games. He clocked more XGI than any other player in the league. You could argue he was unlucky. The creative threat was there. People weren't finishing. And the goal threat was there. The XG was there because he was just missing big chances, which is unlike him. He usually does well against his XG. So Mo Salah clocked a higher XGI, expected goals and assists combined in the last 6 game weeks where we all went, he was rubbish. Well, yeah, the output wasn't great. 2 goals, no assists, but the underlyings were there. Don't be fooled by the actual in the last 6. It was a season to remember for Mo Salah, and I think he's going to go big again because it's Mo Salah and he's inevitable. So Mo Salah makes a lot of sense at 50 million, and I really hope FPL do it. One player I guess they've got a really big decision to make on, though, is the other big name, right, in terms of price point. Like Salah and Haaland are clear, and that is Erling Haaland. Guys, before we carry on, and we'll talk about some more players outside of these 6, but if you want to support the stream in any way, thank you for liking, but also awesome that you've been subscribing before the game's even launched. Please continue to do that because I've got some wicked pre-season content planned. Going to be speaking to some of the best managers in the world and some former winners, seeing their teams as well. So stay tuned for way more content in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be loads of videos. Subscribe and the algorithm then does your work for you. Rather than shows you rubbish, it will show you stuff you're interested in. So Erling Haaland, you've got to go lower. 13.5 2 years ago, 15 million last year. I think they go back to 13.5. He's still the number 9 for a very good attacking team. He'll still be on penalties. He'll still score loads of points. But Erling Haaland last season showed us he's human. He showed us he ain't a robot. He's shown us that he isn't going to be far and away clear the best FPL point scorer, right? Salah smashed him last year, as did others. But he's still going to be a dangerous athlete, option. Like we remember, was it the first maybe 3-4 game weeks last season where he was hitting double digits every week? He's got that potential to go big in August. He's now back fit. We've seen him in the Club World Cup. Erling Haaland's going to be super dangerous next season. Of course he is. But I don't think he can justify a 15, 14 even million price tag. He's got to have a significant jump. And 13.5 million feels about right. Now, last year, 22 goals. It's all right considering the injuries. It's all right. But 22 goals, knowing Chris Wood got 20 and Isak got 23, he's not going to be 15 million or close. I think we see 13.5 million Haaland. I would like to see him 13.5 million. I do worry that he comes in even lower. I worry he comes in at 12.5 or 13. But let's hope we get 13.5 million because it makes it harder for us and we want a difficult game because you lot are all engaged. Us engaged managers, which is every single one of you watching because engaged managers are on YouTube. Less engaged managers don't even use FPL Twitter or FPL YouTube. We're up against a lot of casual managers out there that spend 2 minutes on their team each week. And those that do, if Haaland is cheap and Salah is cheap, it makes it easy for them. right? We want the game to be difficult. So I think Haaland's going to have a significant drop, and he really, really should do. If you disagree with that, please let me know in the comments. Look, I want predictions for all these players in the comments. So look, give us what you think. Do you think Haaland should be 13.5 million? I think this data probably suggests he should be. What about Gyokeres? Now, you'll see like, oh, okay, Gianni's talking about all these players and one of them hasn't even signed. Look, maybe by the time you watch, he has signed. I expect we get here we go on Gyokeres very soon. Let's assume he's in the Premier League. If he is, these are the 6 players I think that will be 9.5 or above. There might be a couple more. We'll talk about Isak and Watkins later as well. But look, Gyokeres at Arsenal, wow, that gives us a bit of a headache. The fixtures for Arsenal are rotten. And when I say the fixtures for Arsenal are rotten, they really, really are. Like, it is a tough start to the season, to the point where they're bottom of the attacking ticker. This is from Fantasy Football Scout. The first 5 weeks, and on Scout, you can filter by difficulty and stuff. So in the members area, I just went attacking difficulty. Man United, Leeds, Liverpool, Forest, and City gives them the worst attacking fixtures than any other team over 5 game weeks. And it doesn't really get better when you increase it to 6-7. They're bottom of the ticker. You could argue they'll score goals against anyone. Arsenal are a class outfit. Yeah, they are. But I think Gyokeres will come in super high. And I don't think we'll want a punt game week 1 because of the fixtures. Although you could argue Man United and Leeds is fine. It's then from game week 3 onwards. But do they go super high with him, or do they go to 9, test the water? If they get it wrong, they could really be punished on Gyokeres. And there's a very, very simple explanation why you could be punished with a player like this. And the answer is Bukayo Saka and penalties, right? Who takes penalties for Arsenal? That will be a huge factor in FPL's pricing of your Gyokeres. If they don't think he takes penalties, they'll price him at 9 million, 8.5. If they think Gyokeres is going to be on pens, and knowing the team he's playing for, and knowing he'll be a huge, huge money buy, he'll be number 9, he'll be the talisman, he's flying in the last couple of seasons, they have to price him at 10 million. His penalty record, by the way, 34 scored from 38 attempts, Saka 14 scored from 17 attempts. Not much between it. Like, Gyokeres has missed 4, Saka 3, but Gyokeres has taken 3 times as many. I think he takes them. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. My comments on Twitter for this were like people saying like FPL Maven, Saka will take pens forever. But then Mark is saying like Saka will give them up. I massively think Saka gives them up. I don't think he gets the choice. I think Arteta knows his number 9, his bagsman, his amazing record. Gyokeres is going to take penalties if he signs for Arsenal. And with that in mind, I think he's going to be priced 10 million. I think you have to price him 10 million because of the penalty appeal. Now, many will say Arsenal don't get penalties. I think they had 2 last year in the Premier League. They might get 7 next year. I think Liverpool got 7 or 8 last year. Gyokeres at 10 million, if he's on pens, makes sense. And I think, again, like we said about Salah and Haaland, you have to go high. You could say, oh, no, price him around Ollie Watkins and Isak, 8.5, 9 million. Aston Villa and Newcastle, yeah, their number 9s are good. But Arsenal are going for the league title. Arsenal should score more goals than those 2 teams. Also, Watkins doesn't even take pens. Isak does. But Gyokeres, I think we see 10 million if he's on pen. If we think he's on pens, and I think he will be. I really hope they don't go 9 million and make it too easy for us on Gyokeres. Saka is the other part of this big, big decision for FPL, though. Because Saka has shown enough in the last few seasons to justify, I think, another 10 million price tag. But if Saka is 10 million again and they're not on pens, it's too expensive and he'll have really low ownership. So we could see a bit of a drop for Saka. Maybe we see like a 9 or a 9.5. When we look at last season's data from midfielders, obviously there was injuries there. But look, this shows all the chart toppers in midfield. Saka doesn't feature. Semenyo, Rodgers, Bruno all outscored Saka last season. His numbers weren't overly good. And I wonder if we do see a price drop. I've gone 10 because I've gone with what I think FPL will price him at. These aren't necessarily my predictions. They're what I think FPL should do and will do. It will be interesting on Bukayo Saka. I think he loses pens, but I think they keep his price as though he's on them. I think they price Gyokeres and Saka, assuming they have pens, both of them. And we know that's not possible. They ain't going to rotate either. They shouldn't do. We've seen Saka give them up to Odegaard in the past, but no. Gyokeres will have pens, I think. Cole Palmer. People think I've gone low here. And you're not going to get Palmer for 9.5 million. Aren't you? I don't know. I feel like this is probably the most controversial of my price predictions, or what I think FPL will do. Many think Palmer should be 10, 10.5. You won't get him at 9.5, Janny. I've seen that comment a few times. Fair enough, opinion. I think we might, because the end of season form for Palmer was so bad. The second half of the season was so bad. Now, Maresca in the Club World Cup has played him in a few different positions. We've seen him wide right, we've seen him wide left, played number 10 in the quarterfinal and looked good and scored the goal. But before that, last two games, he'd started out wide as Enzo was given the nod as the 10. And Enzo is given the nod as the 10, where he's got a dilemma in midfield, where Lavia is fit. He wants Lavia, Caicedo and Enzo. You can't have all three of them and Palmer 10. So he pushes Enzo up, forces Palmer out wide. Palmer's not the same threat out wide. I think he should be Chelsea's 10. I think he often will be Chelsea's 10. But it matters. And I wonder if we're going to get a bit of a spread of points at Chelsea. Pedro Neto's looked great in the Club World Cup. Delap's going to come in and score goals. João Pedro's going to come in and score goals. Yes, Palmer's going to keep penalties. Yes, Palmer's going to be brilliant. I think 9.5 feels right for Palmer, considering the second half of the season. The fixtures are good, though. Chelsea open the season right at the top of the ticker. Again, this is the one I showed you earlier from Scout. Crystal Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Man United. It's a good run of 5 games for Cole Palmer. Chelsea have also looked good as a team. They're functioning well. It will be an interesting one to monitor. I know his end of season form was bad, or his second half of the season. I do have to remind myself, Cole Palmer still had a phenomenal campaign last year. He still had more than 200 points, which is a very good season, even for a premium, right? Cole Palmer still outscored the best performing forwards in the game. He still outscored Isak. He still outscored Wood. He still outscored Haaland and Watkins and Wissa. Only Brian and Burmo and Mo Salah got more points than Cole Palmer. So actually, if you go in season long and you're looking at that, and FPL maybe they do go 10. You could even argue 10.5. But I think they'll look at the second half, and I think that will weigh on them. I think they'll go, oh, yeah, so many pens and not sustainable, and Maresca's evolving, the shape, and all the other signings. I think 9.5 feels right for Palmer. But let's see. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he was 10. 10.5 feels far too expensive for me. Florian Wirtz, this is a bit like Gyokeres. We're going into the unknown, and we have to remember players that have never played in the Premier League. This is a different kettle of fish to the Bundesliga, for example. But Wirtz puts up amazing numbers when he plays in the Champions League. Wirtz puts up amazing numbers when he plays international football, and you can argue Gyokeres the same. And because of that, I don't think FPL will have a problem giving these guys high prices. I really don't. Now, Wirtz is someone that I think will play as an out-and-out 10. There's been talk that he could move wide left, and then you still have that midfield three of McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch. I think Szoboszlai could come out, and it's going to be a midfield three of Wirtz as the 10, and then McAllister, Gravenberch behind them, and you still then play with someone on the left like a Gakpo and Salah on the right, and then a number 9. But it's going to be interesting to see his position on the pitch. It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes him to adapt to the Premier League and the pace of it. But this is an output merchant. This is a guy that goals and assists easy. His numbers are good wherever he's gone. His numbers are good when he's played for teams that aren't at the top of the league. Here, he's going to be playing for the team that's the best team in the league, that score the most goals in the league. Now, with those two things in mind, the fact that he's going to be serving clinical finishers like Cody Gakpo and Mo Salah, there's a lot to like about Florian Wirtz at 9.5 million. Now, price him at 9.5 million, and you give us a huge decision to make about our investment in Liverpool. Now, remember, the Liverpool fixtures are good to start the season. Let's have a quick look at those fixtures. I mean, they're middling in the ticker, but I still see goals in these fixtures. Like Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal was a tough start, but I still expect Liverpool to score in all those games. And then it's Burnley and Everton. We don't really want to be bookmarking transfers in. I think we could even look at the double up early on, but some will want to go without a Salah if he's 15 million. And when you have a player like Wirtz at 9.5 million, you're given that option of saving 5.5 million and still covering that Liverpool attack. Maybe some do that. Maybe some will do that, or they go, can I afford to double up? Or can I go Wirtz and a Gakpo, for example? That is dangerous going without Mo Salah. I don't think personally I'm going to be there going without Mo Salah. But players like Wirtz and Gakpo will tempt us. 5.5 million between two premium Liverpool attackers could be real here. It will be interesting. There's a couple of players that aren't mentioned on this that could be premiums. Now, I've called premiums 9.5 and above. You could say that was a bit stingy. I should have maybe said 9. And also, we got to talk about premium defenders in a different category. I'll get to that in a second. Guys, thank you, by the way, for hitting those buttons and for your comments. I'm going to respond to all comments on this video. And thank you for subscribing pre-season. As I've mentioned earlier, got loads to get through pre-season. I'm super pumped for my pre-season content. Isak could very easily be 9.5 million. And I think many would say, look, Isak should be 9.5 million because he was brilliant last year. Like when we look at Isak's end of season form was fine. But when we look at that phase around Christmas where he was just bagging every week, I get it. Like Isak was the top performing forward in the game, 211 points. Players like Chris Wood and Watkins and Wirtz had great seasons. Well, Isak beat them all up. And at 211 points, you could argue he's due a price rise to 9.5 million. So Isak could be up there. Ollie Watkins could be up there at 9 million plus. But I think at 9.5, it will just be those midfielders mentioned. And maybe Gyokeres. I think Isak could still stay at 9. Remember Champions League football for Liverpool. That rotation, they're not going to want to rotate him for Champions League games. He could be more tired. He might not be as fresh. There's always some underlying injury niggles with Isak. Defenders. Now, this last season we didn't have it either. Gone are the days of 7.5 million defenders, guys. I think the top defender price this season could be 6. And you're looking at Gvardiol, the Arsenal centre backs, the Liverpool guys, Frimpong, Gyokeres, Van Dijk, maybe, but I don't think we're going to see 6.5. We could get a centre back at Arsenal or a Gvardiol at 6.5. But I don't think I'm not referring to them as premiums. They'll just be expensive defenders. For me, a premium defender is 7+. The days when you saw Alonso or a Trent at that price point, we're not there yet. Maybe we'll be there next year. We're going to have good defenders in our teams this year. It's going to be a lot of very good FPL point scorers at 5.5 million. The likes of Cucurella and Aït-Nouri you could get for 5.5 million. That'll be popular pre-season. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you for another video very, very soon.